On today's repair video, we're going to look at this Toro Timecutter MX5000. It has come in and it has thrown the transmission drive belt. So what I got to do in this video is get that drive belt replaced. What happened was the guy, I think, got it stuck in a ditch and kept rocking the mower back and forth and stressed everything out and ended up having problems. So let's go ahead and get started with the repair. So these transmission belts, they're actually a little bit different than the ones that are usually on zero turns, or at least they're routed a little bit differently. The tensioner is in the back. And so here's the belt for it. Just got an 810 belt here, 64.5 inch cogged belt is what it calls for. The one on here is pretty worn out and it got thrown off of the right side pulley. When you look down here though, these rear bolts that mount the transmissions, that one's actually missing and that one's loose. So I'm going to check everything while I'm here just to make sure that they're all good. All the other bolts and stuff are good. But if we get down here, let me see if I can show you what we've got here. So that's our main transmission drive pulley there. And then you have your transmissions on each side, left and right. And the tensioner is back here in the back. So what happened is, somehow, some way, the belt got wrapped around, got thrown off of the right side transmission and wrapped itself around the crankshaft pulley here and just kind of wreaked havoc. So in order to get this off, I mean, I could just cut it off and call it a day. There is a spring right here, that's the tension spring, to get off so that I can move this transmission around a little bit better. We'll just remove that for right now so that I can move that tensioner, and then I've got to wrap everything around and get this belt off. So there's a lot of the belt material right there, and obviously the belt is not doing too hot here. So what I have done is I was able to just pull it down from the tensioners pulleys right here. You don't have to take that tensioner off, although it might help if you do. Loosen it a little bit. We'll probably have to in order to get the new belt on. The last step for me to get this old belt off is on here. We have back in the back here, if I can show them to you, there are two bolts that attach to this piece right here. You can kind of see them up there. Two 9/16 bolts. This is the little guide for the PTO clutch. If you take this guide off and then take the plug off for the PTO clutch, which is just kind of on the back here, then you can forego having to actually take the PTO clutch itself off. So that's going to be nice. That's always a nice touch whenever we can do that. So I'm pulling the clutch wire now, the clutch plug. Of course, I just broke the plug-in aspect of it, but I'll get that off. I'll get those two bolts off. One of them you got to have a nut to get off, and then we should be able to be ready essentially to put on the new belt. And I'll show you the routing for it as well when we do that. So our PTO keeper, bracket, whatever you want to call it, is off right there. And then what I have done now is taken just a 1/2 inch socket right there where they give you a room, and I have not taken it off. I have just loosened it, the tensioner bracket, so that I can get that belt around it whenever that time comes, whenever I get it over the tensioner bracket. Now, I got to look it up myself because I haven't done one of these in a long time. The routing for this belt, I'll show you all that here next. and the process I used to get it on. Alright, so I got it on. It really wasn't all that bad. It's a little tight around the transmissions, but that's pretty typical for all the zero turns. The first pulley I went with was the rear tensioner, so it goes around the back of this, and then I went over to the left transmission, so it goes this tensioner, left transmission, crankshaft pulley, and then it goes around the crankshaft pulley and around the tensioner pulley over to the right transmission, if that makes any sense, if you can kind of see it down there. So the order that you're going is rear, furthest rear pulley, which is essentially where the tensioner bolts to, left transmission, crankshaft pulley, tensioner pulley proper, right transmission. So essentially that's how it goes, and it's nice and tight. What I'm going to do now, so I'll put the spring back on, and one thing I'm going to show y'all that I usually do, thanks to my friend Rick Borman for the tip here as well. And so what I'm going to do is take a piece of pull rope. The tensioner arm is right, or the tensioner spring hole is right there. I'm going to feed this through the tensioner spring hole and then have it on the other side, right? Hook the spring to the tensioner pulley arm in the proper direction, so that way I would guess. And then hook the other end of the pull rope, take the pull rope. Once you get it hooked to the pull rope, you're good. You're going to take the pull rope with the spring and feed it through and hook it in. So if that makes any sense. So I'll get y'all down here because I don't have 4 arms. But essentially that's what I did. Took the pull rope through the hole, hooked it to the spring, had the spring already hooked to the tensioner pulley, and we got a nice tight belt now, so that's great. So that is all I got to do there. While I've got it jacked up, I am going to see if I can find a bolt and a nut to do that tensioner, or that transmission mount that's no longer there. I need to tighten this one up, which looks like it's a 1/2 inch on both sides. I'm going to do that. I've got to sharpen the blades very quickly. A couple other things that you've got to do, obviously, is take this and bolt it back up. So I think it, goes something along like that. We'll look real quick while we're here. Hopefully y'all can see it with where I've got the camera. But so it's going to go into this little pocket here. But obviously it goes the other way. So we've got to get that on. And just like so. And then we'll grab a bolt and a nut there. So it's going to go up there just like so. Grab a bolt and a nut, hook it down. And so I'm going to do that real quick. I've got to plug in the PTO clutch again. And then I just need to take the deck belt and wrap it back around the deck PTO pulley that's on the crankshaft. And then once we do that, we'll be done down here. I just want to explain that to y'all while I'm down here. I know it's really hard to see, but it seems the best practice in order to get this done. So we'll take this, I'll finish up the maintenance I need to do on this, and we'll drive this next. Alright guys, so obviously it got it out here, so I still got to sharpen the blades, but we'll do that here in a minute. But yeah, so it's driving good again, and ready to be put back into service. A couple little minor things I'm going to do is raise the front of the mower deck up a little bit here as well, because it is kind of raked down just from probably where it's hit stuff and things like that. And then just sharpen the blades will be good. But yeah, drive belt. The guy who owns this, he's a pretty sizable guy, so it probably just put a lot of stress on the belt. And the belt looked like it already had some wear and stuff on it too, so kind of all those factors probably combined to cause it to smoke itself and throw itself off whenever it got stuck in the ditch. So no big deal. This is one of the easier ones to replace. You don't have to take the PTO clutch off or anything like that. And the tensioner is in the back, and the spring is super easy to get to. So you just have to loosen that main tensioner pivot point pulley there a little bit. You don't have to take it all the way off, just so you can work that belt in. That's the starting point. That's where I started, and it seemed to be pretty easy after that. So yeah, that's it, y'all. I do appreciate y'all watching this small engine repair video. Hopefully y'all found it helpful. If you got to put a transmission belt in your MX5000 or Toro Timecutter that has this type of belt set up, I've got links in the description below for the belts that you could use, the OEM Toro belt and then the 810 belt that I use. I'll link both of those in the description for you. Thank y'all again very much. I will catch y'all on the next video.